Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to those listening and watching all around the world to this episode of the Talking Sports Podcast. Welcome back. So we are back doing something a little bit different today. It's just me. We're rocking solo dolo. Jeremiah will be back. So don't worry, Jeremiah will be back. Jeremiah is off handling some business. And speaking of that, please be praying for him. Be praying for his girlfriend and her family. They dealt with a loss in their family. So we definitely want to be praying for Jeremiah and his girlfriend. And so he's with her, dealing with that. And so, prayers definitely for her and for Jeremiah and that entire family. But yeah, we're back with an episode of the Talking Sports Podcast, and I'm very excited. This is the first episode where it's just me, just talking to you all. But hey, that's what we do. We love talking sports. And so, whether it's me, whether it's a group, whether it's, me and Jeremiah, we love to do this. And so today we're going to be getting into the NBA. We're narrowing down. We're getting towards the final stretch of the season. It's almost playoff time. After the All-Star break, the NBA season really ramps up. The playoff teams really they start getting into form. And luckily, because of the play-in tournament, we don't see a lot of teams tanking towards the end of the season, toward the All-Star break. Teams are really starting to, they're continuing to try to win. And so I think that's very good for the league. And, shout out to Adam Silver for, making that change. And, typically those teams that were 9th through 15, they were just, stop winning and stop playing, resting starters, things like that. But no, we see a difference now where teams are continuing to play, continuing to try to win. And so, it's a very great part of the season. And I think it's a part of the season where the NBA is really starting to get more watchability. People are starting to tune in more. No football, no college football, no NFL. College basketball is starting to ramp up as well. But I do feel like the NBA has a bigger fan base. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We are talking, and you see it in the title. I am ranking the entire NBA, all 30 teams, power rankings, and these are just based on me. So, if you think that, I got your team too high, it's just based on me and my thoughts and my views of your team and, what I think about them. And so we're going to rank all 30 teams. And so we're going to start at the bottom of the standings, I guess you can say. It's not the standings. You'll see some variation with the standings and my power rankings. But we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up to the top. And if I don't talk about your team in great detail or great length, then it's just because your team may not be very good or they just don't have a lot going on with them for me to really talk about. But, I don't mind. If you want to talk about them in the comment section, we can definitely get into that and we can talk about it more there in the comments. So before we get started, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Share this video and all of our other videos with your friends and family. Like the video, comment, share, and subscribe. All right, so let's get into it. Starting with number 30, and I have my notes here, so I'll be, glancing away from the camera every now and then. But starting with number 30, we got the Washington Wizards. Okay, they're not very good, 9-49. As we're recording today, Jordan Poole coming off the bench. They have some young pieces, but they're just not very good. Bilal Koulibaly is playing okay. Deni Abia is progressing, seeing a little bit of development in his game from the beginning of his career to now. So, that's something to look forward to, maybe, possibly, as he continues to grow into his NBA career. I don't see them doing much. They're probably going to be looking to, have a high draft pick in this draft coming up. So that's the Wizards at 30. And what I'll do is I'll actually just give you 5 or 6 teams, and then we'll talk about those teams. If there's something that's really interesting about them or something that I want to do. All right, so we got the Wizards at 30. We got the Trailblazers at 29. The Hornets at 28. The Pistons at 27. And the Memphis Grizzlies at 26. All right, so let's talk about the Hornets at 28. I recently, last month, went to go see the Hornets in Charlotte against my Los Angeles Lakers. I hope you all saw that short that we put out. That was so fun. That was such a fun time. Thank you to my wife for those. That was such a fun experience. But the Hornets, I feel like the past few seasons they've been in the play-in and they have struggled in the play-in, but they have talent, and that's the thing. Like Brandon Miller and even LaMelo's hurt, but Brandon Miller's hurt now too. But they have potential. They have so much potential. Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, back in the NBA, he's playing well. They made some trades, and so they have Grant Williams now. He can be a streaky shooter and a solid defender. But I just feel like this team has so much potential, and they have so much young talent, especially with that three of Miller, LaMelo, and Miles Bridges, that they can really do something. But LaMelo is just constantly injured, and it's just so very tough because you want to see them do well. They have the talent. They have the talent to do some things. And they came back against the Lakers at the one game that I went to, and it was fun. They have scorers. I just think they're missing their point guard. They're missing LaMelo, and he can be a difference maker for them. But if he's not going to be healthy, then maybe they have to move different directions with their franchise. I definitely believe that they need a new coach. So, next season, moving away from their current coach, I think will be beneficial for them. But I have the Hornets at 28 with, potential. They can score points, but they're not really, of course, they're not going to make the playoffs. So yeah, that's young but talented. And, looking for multiple things that they need into next season to try to establish themselves as, at least play-in contenders for next season. All right, so next I have the Pistons. Of course, they had an incredibly long losing streak at the beginning of the season. But I like their team, especially Cade and Jalen Duren. Cade is, a player that has potential to be a superstar, I believe. And Jalen Duren is just a beast inside. And if you look at the numbers this season, he's had, 20 games, and he's just been pretty consistent with, as a big man and rebounding and scoring. But, they're still a long way away from being a contender for playoffs. But I think they have some starting pieces, some building blocks that you can see they're moving in this direction. They have the pieces. So, we'll see what happens in the future with Cade and Jalen Duren. I think those are the two building blocks that they will try to build their franchise around. And so we'll see what happens moving forward. Grizzlies at 26, and they've just been ravaged by injuries. And this is a team that I kind of follow. Not too close now, especially with the injuries. But I used to live in Tennessee, so I've gone to some Memphis Grizzlies games, and I like Ja as a player. As a person, he has some growth, but I think he'll get there. But right now they're just so injured. They're so injured that they can't really do much, and so that's why I have them at 26. But when they get their players back, Ja, Desmond Bane, once they get those centerpiece players back, then they'll be back in where they were last season, playoffs, potentially a higher seed. And so, but right now, 26th. And so that's the bottom five: Wizards, Blazers, Hornets, Pistons, and Grizzlies. All right, let's move on to the next tier. Spurs at 25, Raptors at 24, Rockets at 23, Hawks at 22, and Nets at 21, the Brooklyn Nets. So let's talk about 25 in the San Antonio Spurs. Excuse me. The Spurs, of course, as you may know, they have Victor Wembanyama, and right now he's playing so very well. It's crazy to see him on the floor. He's averaging 20.7 points a game, 10 rebounds, 1.3 steals, and 3.3 blocks. Wembanyama is a DPOY candidate. He's just that's almost five, what do they call it, stocks, steals, and blocks. It's almost five stocks a game, and so that's up there for tops in the league defensively. And so him being a rookie and coming in and having the impact that he had so early, it's just remarkable to see. And a lot of people are saying that he's going to be the face of the NBA as he continues to grow in the league. And so we'll get to see what happens. But he's just been playing so well. I wish that this team had a true point guard that could really give him the ball. But as the team, of course they're going to have a good pick this season. So in the lottery, they'll be able to get a point guard, and I think that's where they'll go, because you want to be able to have that floor general that can really take care of ball handling, assist, take care of the ball, and get Wembanyama the ball ultimately, because if you have a point guard, you're able to do that. But if you haven't watched Victor Wembanyama play, look up his highlights on YouTube or on the NBA app, or just watch any of his games that are televised. He's a remarkable talent, and one that will really wow you as you're watching. So I have Spurs at 25, even though their record doesn't really, they may have a worse record than the teams that I mentioned previously, but I just think the potential of Victor Wembanyama, and they are playing better right now, and so the attraction of Victor Wembanyama has them where they are now at 25. I'm not gonna really talk a lot about these other teams. The Raptors, they did a fire sale this season, trading away OG Anunoby, trading away Pascal Siakam. So they're in rebuild mode, and so they have their young core: RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Scotty Barnes. Unfortunately, Scotty just got injured. He injured his finger in the loss to the Warriors. He jammed his finger in the first quarter, and then second quarter he went up for a block and I guess injured it even more. And so he's going to be out for a while. And but he's their marquee player right now. So RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley will have to shoulder the load while he's out. And so we'll see how that goes. I don't expect them to, make a push for the play-in right now, but I have Raptors at 24. Rockets at 23, talented. They're young though. They have, Ime Udoka at the helm, coaching them. And so they just need more time. We really have to figure out what Jalen Green is. Is he their number one? Is he a number two? We don't really know. He's playing better as of late. But, Jabari Smith is, he's playing well. They added Dylan Brooks. They added Fred VanVleet to the squad. And so they have a pretty good mix of youth and some experience. And so that's helped them to be better this season. But they're not going to contend for, a championship or anything like that. They may sneak their way into the play-in. We'll see. They're a little ways off right now. But I think they have a talented young core. Amin Thompson, or it's either Amin or Ausar. One of the twins is there, and Cam Whitmore. I really like Cam Whitmore from Villanova, and so he's a good piece that they can try to develop and try to become a star in this league. And so Ime Udoka, I think he's there for a good while. He's a very good coach. We will see what happens with the Rockets in Houston moving forward. 22 at Hawks. They're 10th right now in the standings as I'm recording this, and they don't have Trae Young. It's going to be tough for them to make up ground to try to, stay in that playoff or play-in standings. It's going to be tough for them without Trae Young. He's their main guy. He's the what do they call it? The engine that makes the ship go. Something like that. Whatever the saying is, you know what it is. Comment down below what that saying is for me. He's their engine. He makes everything go for them. He's the catalyst. That's the word I'm looking for. He's their catalyst. And so without him, it's just tough. Jalen Johnson's gonna have to carry the load. He's young emerging player, but they need Trae Young. The Atlanta Hawks, when you think Atlanta Hawks right now, you think Trae Young, and without him, they can't do much. I have the Nets at 21. And so, the Nets just destroyed the Hawks in their last game, won by at least 30. They have a decent squad, but it's just a team of role players, in my opinion. And so, they need a star. They need someone that's just different. I don't know. The team it's so weird. And they did have, coming off of what the Nets used to be with James Harden, Kyrie, and KD, and now to this team, it's just different. They're just kind of in limbo. You don't know if, what team is going to be from year to year, who's going to stay, who's going to go, who are they going to re-sign. You don't really know. And so they're just in the middle. And, they fired Jacque Vaughn, and now they have Kevin Ollie. I like Kevin Ollie. He won a championship with UConn some years back. And I think he can be a decent coach. He's going to need some more experience. But I like their players, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, Bridges, Mikal Bridges. I really like Mikal as a player. But I would like to see this team go in a different direction. I think those players that they have in Brooklyn would be better suited somewhere else. Like these role players could be amazing on contending teams. And I was kind of hoping this trade deadline that they would move some pieces and just kind of go into rebuild mode so that I could see those players in different spots. And it didn't work that way. So, that's, you get some of those things sometimes where teams they're just there and you don't know if they're going or coming. But, we'll see what happens in the future with the Brooklyn Nets. All right, so moving on. At 20, I have the Chicago Bulls, 19, Utah Jazz, the 76ers at 18, Warriors at 17, and the Sacramento Kings at 15. This was the toughest part for me because a lot of these teams are like they're close in the standings, and I didn't really know where to put these teams as far as their ranking because they're middling. Those middling teams. They're middle of the pack. They not the best offensive, not the best defensive. They're just there. And so the Bulls, they are the ninth seed right now. Patrick Williams is out for the season with a foot injury. He's having surgery, so he's going to be out for the season, but he hasn't really done very much this season. So, I mean, they're missing a player, they're missing depth, but didn't really do much this season. And to be honest, with the way they drafted him so very high, you're kind of like, it's not a very good situation because you don't know how that foot's going to heal in the future. Foot injuries are tough. You need your feet to move, to run in the NBA. And so, shout out to Patrick Williams. We hope for a speedy recovery. But on the bright side, they do have Kobe White and his emergence leading more than likely in the Sixth Man of the Year, or I'm sorry, most improved player race. He's playing well this season. Alex Caruso, I love Alex Caruso. Ever since he played with the Lakers and won that championship, I wish the Lakers would have gotten him again and gotten him back, but didn't happen. But he's been amazing defensively. He should be an all defensive player for sure this season. But the Bulls, they're middling. They got destroyed by the Bucks last night or the night before. So talent wise, they're just not very good. They didn't do anything at the trade deadline, and so you're looking at the front office like, what's going on? What are we doing? You don't really know. And so if you want Chicago Bulls talk, shout out to Kenny Beecham. Y'all go to his channels, his mini channels, and you can hear all about Chicago, the Bulls, if he talks about them, because he's vowed that he wouldn't talk about them, until they did some things. But every now and then he talks about them just because, he's there. That's his team. So anyway, I got the Bulls at 20. At 19, I have the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz are funny because the past couple years they've started off so well, and you've seen it. Like, they're 2 seed, they're the 4 seed, and then as the season goes, they just get lower and lower and lower in the standings. And I don't really know what to attribute that to. It's like Will Hardy is a great coach. I really like Will Hardy as a coach. He came from Boston in that coaching tree. And they have Lauri Markkanen. They have a youth. Lauri is a star there. I think the key for them is going to be the development of Keontae George, their point guard, their rookie this season. He's an incredible talent out of Baylor, but his development is going to be important. Taylor Hendricks, his development as a rookie, I think they've drafted fairly well, and we'll see what happens with Lauri. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Do they try to keep him, or do they try to go full on youth movement? They're the 11th seed right now. And the West is funny because the play-in, it just seems like it's almost set. You got the Mavericks, Kings, Lakers, and Warriors. Not in that order, but those 4 teams seem like they're just locked. There's like 4 games outside of the 10th seed, the Jazz are. So will they get in? It'll take a lot of losses from those playing teams currently, and a lot of wins for the Jazz. We'll see. I like what they're doing. I like what they're building. Will Hardy's going to be a good coach for them as the years progress. I don't think he'll go anywhere necessarily. I don't think any other teams will try to get him off of those of his team in Utah unless he has some success and another team doesn't really do well and they want to move in a different direction. But I see them continuing to progress as the years go by, and they're a fun team to watch too. So shout out to Utah. At 18, I have the 76ers. And this is the first team that, we're talking about that's, actually in the playoffs. But the reason I have them where they are is because they don't have Joel Embiid. He's injured. He injured his meniscus. And without him, they're a completely different team. And, they're asking so much of Tyrese Maxey right now. He has the ultimate green light. He took 29 shots last game, and they're fifth in the East, and so you don't want them to slide if you're a fan of this team. But without Joel, it's like, how do you hold on to your lead in the standings? We shall see what happens, but I have the 76ers at 17. Next, I have the Magic, the Orlando Magic, and I really like this team. And so we'll spend a little bit of time here. Paolo Banchero he can be a superstar in this league. He second-year player from Duke. He is incredible. If you watch his games, he shoots the ball well from deep. He drives. He can post. He can shoot. He's an all-around player, and he plays good. He plays solid defense too. He's a big body. He's gained some weight since college and put on some muscle. The Magic are the 6th seed right now. I think they have a chance to really upset somebody in the playoffs. I think, regardless of where they stand, whether it be, the 6th seed or if they drop even to the play-in, I think they have an opportunity to upset because they defend, and especially with Jonathan Isaac, Pastor Jonathan Isaac, my brother in Christ. Come on to the show. Come on to the show. I'm gonna have to reach out to Jonathan Isaac about possibly coming on to the show. If y'all clip this and y'all send it to Jonathan and tell him we want Jonathan Isaac on the Talking Sports podcast. But yeah, he's been playing incredible defense when he plays. Just coming back from those injuries, the knee injuries. Jonathan Isaac is a guy that can really lock down and sit in that chair and defend. And they have a lot of guys like that. Black, the point guard from Arkansas, when he plays, he doesn't play a whole lot, but when he plays, he can really defend. Jalen Suggs is a solid defender, and they have length with Wendell and Franz. Like this, I really like this team. They're young, they're scrappy, they play together. But the Orlando Magic, look out for them in the playoffs. They should make it, and so look out for them as they continue their season. Next team I have is the Warriors. They are 9th right now, and it's the Steph Curry show. He's playing incredible. He's a superstar, and we all know Steph Curry, the greatest shooter this world has ever seen, greatest shooter ever. And the difference now from teams previously with the Warriors is they're winning on the road. We know, last season or the year before that, they were terrible on the road. They couldn't win on the road at all for whatever reason it was. But now 8 straight wins on the road. Chris Paul is back. he's anchoring that second unit, and he's anchoring the unit when Steph Curry's off the floor. They're not losing those minutes. And so that's a very important factor for the Warriors. Draymond Green is back, and he is staying out of trouble. He's playing solid defense, setting those screens for Curry and Clay. And so the Warriors, they're dangerous. So you have to, if you can slow down Steph Curry, that's great. But if not, he's going to torch you. And he's he's really going to lead his team to, they're in the play-in right now. They're 9th. And so will we see another Lakers versus Warriors play-in? I don't know. We'll see. But the Warriors are at 17 for me. So the next team is the Sacramento Kings. I have them at I have the Sacramento Kings at 16. Yeah, I have the Sacramento Kings at 16. and they have slid. They were 3rd in the West last season. They ended up 3rd, and now they're 7th. So they're in that play-in spot. This team is talented, and I don't know what it is. They're just missing something. I can't really put my finger on it. They play fast. And I think just talking about it right now, they need a defensive stopper. That's what they need, because their offense, they can run. They have Sabonis, who's leading the league in triple doubles. They have Monk coming off the bench, Malik Monk. They have De'Aaron Fox. They have Harrison Barnes. They have the talent. They can score. They just need a defensive stopper. And I think if they can get that defensive stopper, then they really solidify themselves as a contender. We saw, last season they lost to the Warriors. You need somebody that can get a stop for you in those key moments. Right now, I don't think they have that. And so I think that's going to prevent them from really making headway in the playoffs. They can get there. The regular season is built on offense, but I think in the playoffs, you need that defense. You need a solid defensive presence, and you don't necessarily have to have a defensive team. You just need, one, maybe 2 guys that can get a stop, especially in the wings. I personally believe it's a wing-driven league. If you can have defensive stoppers on the wings, then you can have versatility to, that he could guard a 1, he could guard a 3, he can guard a small 4. You just need that guy, and I don't think they have that. Harrison Barnes is it's so funny because when Harrison Barnes was in the Warriors, they replaced him with KD, and so now he's with the Kings, and they need to replace him with a guy that is better than him. And so, that's how it goes. We'll see what happens. The Kings will definitely, make some noise if they can advance out of the play-in. And they should have some exciting games in whatever series they are in. But I don't think they'll make it out of the first round. But I have the Kings at 16. And so that means that the Magic are actually at 15. We talked about the Magic. And so now at 14, I have the Pelicans, New Orleans Pelicans. 13, I have the Pacers. 12, I have the at 12, I have the Miami Heat. And at 11, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. So let's talk about the Pelicans at 14. Pelicans, they're missing a point guard. They need a true point guard that can set them up. He doesn't have to be a scoring guard. They have a ton of scoring on their team. They have, they have CJ McCollum. They have Brandon Ingram. They have Zion. They have enough scoring on the team. They need a point guard that can set them up, get them into their spots. For general that can, set Zion up on lobs and things of that nature so that he can be off the ball. I don't necessarily like point Zion. I think he's better suited where he can come off screens and post and sometimes he's not a playmaker, he's a shot creator. And so you need a playmaker next to him, and they don't really have that. They absolutely destroyed the Pacers in their last game. They were at home and they didn't really miss. But one thing that they do have is Herb Jones. And when I tell you Herb Jones, another all defensive player, he's going to be incredible as he continues to grow. And, he shoots well from three as well. He's just a perfect 3-and-D player. I liked him. I don't necessarily like Alabama as a college, but, him, he really showed himself as a solid 3-and-D player. And he held Tyrese Halliburton to zero points for an entire game, which is crazy. So he's an incredible piece for the Pelicans, and so they have talent. They can really put it together. Right now, they're the 6th seed. Right outside of the play-in, in the playoff race, and so will they stay there? We'll see. They can make some noise in the playoffs. The West is just loaded. 1 through 10 is just crazy. Any of those teams, I can make a case for getting to the finals. It's just that loaded. But the Pelicans are at 6th in the NBA standings, and I have them at 14th in my power rankings. Next team, the aforementioned Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton is slowly becoming one of my favorite players. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's a Christian also. Tyrese, come to the show. Come on to the show, man. That would be dope. Anyway, Tyrese Halliburton, I tweeted this out not too long ago when they were playing the Pacers. I think it was playing the Pelicans this past Wednesday, that their offense is so very fast, and they're so fun to watch. The addition of Pascal Siakam I think it's helped them in the long run for their team if he's going to stay there. I'm glad that they did that just to show, Indiana and the fan base that they're willing to make moves to try to make this team better. We'll see if Pascal stays long term. But I really like this team. And, some people may say that this is too high for them in the power rankings, but I just think, in the playoffs, this season they've shown that they can beat top tier teams, and so they just need to, get healthy, stay healthy. I think that Tyrese and Pascal and Miles Turner, their offense can really do some things. Now the question is their defense. Will they be able to play defense in the playoffs? Hopefully Rick Carlisle can, do some things, coach some things up to where their defense can be better than what it is and what it has been. But I think that's going to be the key for the Pacers, their defense. They are 8th right now in the standings. And so, we'll see what happens in that play-in. I think they're going to stay a play-in team, but we'll see. We have the Miami Heat at number 12, and these are your Eastern Conference champions last season. And what a crazy run they went on from play-in to the finals, going up against the Denver Nuggets last season. And, I think they're who they are. You have Heat culture, you have Bam, you have Jimmy, and you have Spo. And those are the three building blocks of that organization. And so they can really, I don't know if they can repeat what they did last season. The East is pretty top heavy. And we'll get to the teams, in the East that are really dominating right now. But the Heat, I think they need a point guard as well. They got rid of Kyle Lowry in the trade and picked up Terry Rozier. He's not a true point guard. He's a scoring guard. But, with Jimmy and his play, Bam and his play, you kind of need that punch offensively. And so I just think they need better. I think they need better point guard play. Real, true point guard play. We'll see what they do in the draft. But the Heat are 7th. No, I'm sorry. The Heat are at 12 in my power rankings, but they're 7th in the standings. And last for this tier, the Lakers are at 11. The Lakers are 10th. This is my team. My favorite team. Not because of LeBron. I am a LeBron fan, but I've been a Laker fan for forever, since Kobe. May he rest in peace. The Lakers are an interesting team. They're the most polarizing team, of course, with LeBron there, but they're so very interesting. It's gonna, you know what you're gonna get from LeBron and AD, but it's gonna be up to the role players around them, the D'Los, the Austin Reeves, can they get healthy? We haven't seen a second of Gabe Vincent this season. And hopefully he'll come back and be an integral piece when the playoffs start. But we haven't seen a minute of him. Cam Reddish, just getting him back. These guys are important for their defense and their shot making. They're younger. You can't rely on LeBron 40 minutes a game. Like, it's not gonna happen. As good as he still is right now, you can't rely on that. They need production and really good production from those players. AD, we need him to be the defensive monster that we know he can be. And so those other guys, it's going to be the others for the Lakers. If the others come to play defense, shoot the ball well, then this team can go far. They can get back to the Western Conference Finals. I really and truly believe that, not just because they're my team, but, when you have LeBron and AD, you need other players to step up. And if that happens, they'll make it pretty far. They're going against the Nuggets tonight as I'm recording this. And so they'll more than likely lose just because they can't stop Jokic and they can't stop Jamal Murray for whatever reason. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If the Lakers win, I'll be posting on Twitter and stuff. So you'll see me there. So that's 11 through 30. Before we get into our top 10, I just want to remind you, like the video and subscribe. We really are on a road to 100 subscribers. So subscribe to the channel, and we really would appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much. So our top 10 teams. These are the teams that can really, I believe, push for a championship, or at least get to the finals, and true contenders. And at number 10, I have the Knicks. Now the Knicks they're sliding. They're on a bit of a free fall right now, just due to the fact that they're injured, and they're really injured at the wrong time. Really, like the second half of the season, you want all your players back. You want no injuries. You really want to be settled into a spot, or really trying to jump up, because second half of the season, you're trying to get ready for the playoffs. And so OG's out, Julius Randle's out, Mitchell Robinson's out, and right now it's just a Jalen Brunson show. They're running small lineups, and Tibbs is having to play a lot of players that typically wouldn't play. Man, it's really tough. I watched the Warriors versus Knicks game, and I was just like, this is blah. Like it's blah. It wasn't a fun watch. They lose a lot of their defense. Like I said, if you don't have wings that can play D, or any wings in general, in this case, it's gonna be tough for you to win. And they're missing their 3, their 4, and their 5. Like Josh Hart, as great as a rebounder he is, he's not a 3. Like he's undersized. He's an undersized 3, I guess, but it's just tough when you have these injuries. And hopefully OG will be back soon. He is doing non-contact things right now, so hopefully he'll be back. But we saw when that team was healthy what they could be and what they did. So if they can get back healthy, they can make a push in the Eastern Conference. Right now they're at 4th, so they're still remaining steady for home court. Sorry, in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they can get back healthy, and so I think when the Knicks are good, it makes for a good NBA. So the Knicks are at 10. At 9, I have the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are the 5th seed in the West. KD and Book and some guys. That's really how I describe this team, how I characterize this team from the very beginning of the season. Really thought Bradley Beal would be a true addition to this team, but he has not been healthy at all this season. At all. The minute he comes back, he gets hurt again. This season has been terrible for him. And, KD, Book, and some guys. Royce O'Neal, the addition of Royce O'Neal has been better for them. He's a solid defender that can shoot 3-and-D guy. But I think honestly, I believe it's Booker's team. It's Devin Booker's team, but this team is going to go as far as KD can take them. If KD can, step into time chamber and really give us prime KD, give us Golden State Warriors KD, for these playoffs, then they can really be dangerous. But if KD's laying back and letting Booker run the show, then I don't think they'll get very far. But KD is going to be the key for them and their defense. If they can play D, then they can make a run for sure. So I have the Suns at 9. At 8, Cleveland Cavaliers. Now I know what you're thinking. You're looking at the standings like the Cavaliers are the 2 seed. How do you have them all the way at 8th? Hear me out. I don't know what it is. I don't believe in this team. Like they're playing better this season. Don't get me wrong. They're last season they were either the 4 or the 5 seed, but for some reason I don't believe in this team, and it could be the fact that Boston, which we'll talk about later, is so very dominant in the Eastern Conference that every other team just seems like it's whatever. But they have some good pieces. They have a solid core. I do think that their bench is some place where they can struggle. They're gonna have to rely on Donovan Mitchell a lot offensively. He's gonna have to carry them. Darius Garland is streaky. Sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's not. And when you have a scoring point guard, if you're not Steph Curry, that happens sometimes. So we don't blame him for that. We don't get on him for that. But he's still young too, and this is a fairly young team. And so for them to be second, shout out to them. JB Bickerstaff is doing an excellent job coaching. And so they won their last game against the Pistons by 10 without Dono. And so good win for them. Garland, 8 threes, 8 for 12. Like I said, he's streaky. So, if they can have that type of production in the playoffs and moving into the playoffs, they'll be scary. But I don't believe in them. I have them, just a tier outside of that top contending team that can really compete for a championship. You know what I mean? And so Cavaliers at 8. At number 7, the Los Angeles Clippers. We knew going into the season that this would more than likely be a different season for the Clippers, just due to the fact that they made the change to where, if you don't play 65 games, then you're going to, not be eligible for some of these awards and, all NBA type things. And so we knew that they would take advantage of that and play more in the regular season. And I believe that's why they have the record that they do. They're 4th right now, which is good for them. I just think I don't know, right now they're just kind of sleepwalking. In the after All-Star break, they win some, they lose some. And I don't, Paul George has been out some. So I don't believe in this team either in the West. I think if they can stay healthy, then, they have a shot. But, they lost Westbrook. He broke his hand, fractured his hand last night or the night before. So that's going to take away a little bit of their depth. I don't know when he's going to be back. And the question I have about the Clippers is, what's Harden going to do in the playoffs? He's a guy that typically, especially late, falls off in the playoffs completely. And James Harden has had a good season so far, looking at the stats. But what are you going to get from him? If Paul George is going to be, not 100%, Westbrook not 100%, and, Kawhi could injure himself at any moment. So you're just going to have James Harden? It really is just going to depend on who are they healthy. What are you going to get from James Harden? That's the big question that I have for the Clippers. That's why I have them at 7. If everything works out, they can win it all. They can, but they're going to need things to line up for them. They're going to need, optimal, they're going to need luck. They're going to need seeding. They're going to need home court. They're going to need a lot of different things to work out in their favor for them to, get to the championship and, overcome the Nuggets, ultimately, which are the defending champions. So I have the Clippers at 7. And the thing is with power rankings, it fluctuates from week to week, really. You could have a 3-0 week, or you can have a 0-4 week. It just depends. So I have the Clippers at 7. So at 6, I have the Dallas Mavericks. Again, you're looking at the standings like, what is this guy talking about? The Mavericks are 8th, and the Clippers are at 4th. That discrepancy just doesn't make sense. Luka Doncic. Have you watched Luka Doncic play? Pause the video right now. Type in Luka Doncic in your search bar and watch. Okay, I'll wait. All right. Did you watch? All right. You see now why he's leading the league in scoring. He's averaging 35, 9, and 10. I rounded up, but 35, 9, and 10. He is playing out of his mind. He's a front runner for MVP. And I really like, and this is why I have them at 6. I really like the team that they have. They can go 12 deep. Luka, Kyrie, Hardy, Green, Hardaway Jr., Derek Lively, Markieff Morris, if he wants to play. Did I mention Kyrie? I think I mentioned Kyrie. Maxi Kleber. They just have a lot of guys. PJ Washington. They just traded for him. This trade deadline. They have a lot of guys around Luka and Kyrie that can really produce. And like I said, they can go 12 deep, and they're gonna need that depth to really play the way they want to play. Now, the question, and this is a question that I have for other teams as well, but are they gonna be able to defend when it comes playoff time? They're sitting at 8th right now, and so honestly, I think they're a tough team to beat. Luka is almost unguardable. He's so very good. I don't know, I don't know if he's gonna win the MVP this year. It's very possible, but when you have an MVP candidate, you got a chance. You have a chance if you have an MVP candidate, and Luka has been that. But again, they have to play defense, and so we'll see what happens in the playoffs. I have them at 6. At 5, and this is a team that doesn't have a problem with defense whatsoever. Minnesota Timberwolves, best defense in the league, but it's really their offense that struggles. And, typically you don't see that, but at least they have Anthony Edwards. He can be an offensive presence for them. But I just think they're big heavy. They got Rudy Gobert, they got Cat, they got Naz Reid. I think they need more guard production and wing production. Now, Cat is, you can say he's a big wing. Because he shoots from deep so much. He's a 3-point shooter. But let's see, they are, if I look at my notes here, they're tied. Well, no, they're the first seed. They're the first seed in the West. And so they're playing great basketball. I don't know if I can. I'll put it this way. I don't have them to win the finals. I don't have them to make it to the finals. I think they're a year or two away. They're missing something. They're missing more guard play. And so the Minnesota Timberwolves are good. I don't believe in them though. But first in the West, you can't argue that they shouldn't be where they are in the power rankings. All right, number 4, I have the Bucks. Giannis and Dame in the playoffs can be special, and I think they will be special. I think they're gonna have to win despite Doc. I think, we all know his resume of losing those 3-1 and 3-2 leads in the playoffs. They're gonna have to play despite him, but I think Giannis is on a mission to really reclaim what he once had, that best player in the league moniker that he had at one point when he won the championship and had those MVPs. Jokic is kind of taking that, and I really think he wants that back. Disregard those comments of this is Dame's team and we're gonna go as far as he takes us. This is Giannis's team. Let's be real here. And they're gonna go far. I think their defense has improved, and I honestly believe that it's gonna be, well, we'll talk about that, but I think the Bucks can really make a deep run in the playoffs. So I have them at 4. Number 3, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are the second seed in the West. Shea, MVP candidate. They're playing extremely well. Chet is a candidate for Rookie of the Year. But this team is too young. And they've been very good. And I think a lot of their series in the playoffs are going to go 6 or 7. They're just extremely, extremely young. They don't have any playoff experience. I believe that Mark Daigneault is going to be Coach of the Year. But again, they're super, super young. Shea is incredible. He's so very good. He's so crafty. He can score from anywhere on the court. But I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna be like the Kings and the Grizzlies last season, where super young team, they make the playoffs for the first time, higher seed for the first time in a long time, and so I think they'll probably get bounced out early, if not second round. But I don't see them as contenders yet. They're on their way for sure. They still have a lot of draft picks. They have a lot of pieces that they can move and do things with to make them top tier contenders for championships. Right now, they're again the second seed. They're playing incredible basketball, and so this is the best that they've been since KD, Russ, and Harden. And I actually commented on a video. Do you think that the Thunder team now is better, or the Thunder team with KD, Russ, and Harden is better? And so I commented that on the video. So I'll ask you guys as well. Which OKC team do you like better? Do you like this team with Shea, Chet, and J-Dub, or do you like KD, Harden, and Russ? Let me know down in the comment section, and let's talk about it. I think it's an interesting question, interesting conversation. I have the Thunder at 3. Now, last 2 teams, no surprise at all. Denver Nuggets, number 2. Champions last season. Jokic is probably going to win MVP. He's playing out of his mind. They are coasting right now. They're just waiting on the playoffs to start. This is a team that is a solidified playoff contender for a very long time to come. And it starts with Jokic. He's dominant all over the court. Jamal Murray is a great playoff player. We've seen it for years now. And they can and they probably will get back to the finals. They're just so very good, and they're just waiting on the playoffs to start so they can ramp it all up again. Now they do have questions. Their bench is not as deep, and so they're gonna have to rely on their starters and their top 7, 8 guys. But I mean that's typical playoff rotations and scenarios. So we'll see if they make it back to the finals. I think it's going to be interesting because, like I said, the West is just loaded. It's going to be a dogfight, no matter the game, from playoff to 1 versus 8. It's going to be a dogfight, and I really cannot wait till next month when these playoffs start. So the Nuggets are at number 2, and last but definitely not least, the first seed in the East, the first seed in the entire NBA, and the number 1 team for my NBA rankings on the Talking Sports podcast, the Boston Celtics, sitting at 47-12. They're more than likely going to be the first team to hit 50 wins. They're cruising and they're dominating. If I'm not mistaken, they won 10 or 11 straight. Jason Tatum, my boy from Duke, shout out Duke, shout out Jason Tatum. He's just playing out of his mind. And I honestly, this is my pick to win the championship this season. They did get close 2 years ago going against the Warriors, and I'm just so upset. They should have won that championship. But what was it? 2 or 3 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. They should have won that championship. But I think they're going to win it this year. This is their year. If they don't win it this year, then they are going to have to make some decisions, I believe. and you're gonna have to do something. But additions of Drew Holiday, Porzingis, these guys are just so integral and important to their team. And it's what they needed. It's really what they needed. And I can see a Denver versus Boston NBA Finals. Just, man, 7 games. Drew Holiday versus Jamal Murray, Porzingis and Jokic, Jason Tatum. If that's the finals, I'm tuning in. That's going to be an incredible series. I have my East picked out. I think it's going to be Bucks versus Celtics. In the West, it's just so loaded. I don't know where to go. I would love if the Lakers get back. I doubt that'll happen, but I would love that. But the East is fun. The Western playoffs is just going to be incredible. So those are my power rankings. The Boston Celtics are at number 1. Let me know your thoughts of the power rankings down in the comment section. Who's your favorite NBA team? Let's talk about that. Let me know where you guys are from, what teams you like. Typically I don't really like the Boston Celtics because I'm a Laker fan, but Jason Tatum, my guy from Duke, I just like him, and hopefully he can be the face of the NBA, and him and Deuce and all those in that family. I just enjoy him as a player, with him liking Kobe. But anyway, that was my power rankings. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, comment on the video, subscribe. If you love talking sports, like I love talking sports, hit us up in the comment section. Let us know. I'm always going to be down there. Follow us on Twitter at TSPJDN. Jeremiah, love you, bro. Miss you. Can't wait to have you back. That's been the episode of the Talking Sports Podcast. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you next week. Peace.